This is the Manufacturing Automation Podcast. I'm Michael.
And I'm Matt. In this podcast, we're going to discuss growing companies, automation and manufacturing,
and how we're building the lives and businesses we want to see in the world. Hey, everybody. This is Michael and Matt on the Manufacturing Automation Podcast, where we talk about growing our automation businesses, the things we're improving, marketing and sales, a little bit of everything. So, Matt, do you want to kick it off? Feelings from the week?
Feelings through the week. It felt like friction's the wrong way. It was just a very packed week, especially as I got towards the end of the week. I don't know. It seemed like a push is probably the best way to put it, but got through it. Some of the things that were interesting I guess one thing that was fun was on Tuesday is I had the first WMC like roundtable where it's a bunch of owners, operators of businesses. I really enjoyed that. We'll see how it goes. I think the first one's kind of like always a cat and mouse. People are trying to figure out who's in the room. What do they know? What don't they know? What are you willing to share? I think there's a lot of people that were very uncertain of what they wanted to share yet. So I look forward to as people start opening up in there and kind of seeing how that group goes. Because I think I have a lot to learn. I'm the smallest business in there by a factor of maybe a comma.
Yeah.
So that was quite cool. Otherwise, it was road trips, lots of ice over in this side of the country for those that aren't aware. Wednesday was like a solid ice storm, and I was supposed to have a 2.5-hour road trip that turned into 4, but thankfully still made it to the client on time. So I had planned enough buffer. Yeah, they had 3 interviews canceled because of the snow. And like I walk in the door, he's like, I can't believe you're here. I said I would be.
Yeah, that's funny.
So, yeah, that's kind of my bit of the week in a nutshell, and then interviews at the end. So those are fun.
Cool. Yeah, I'm right there with you. This week has been a slog. I'm like a little sick, like sick enough where it's tough to work, but not so sick where you can justify not working, especially as a business owner. So kind of in that middle ground where I'm like burning out every day around 3, which is not something I like. But so I think the big thing is it's just there's so much going on, and I'm in one of those like business moods where I'm just like, we can execute everything better. And like I think you have this too, like the just continual hedonic treadmill of running a business, of just ripping apart everything that could be better or is wrong.
It never ends.
It never ends.
If you want to keep growing, like you start understanding why people go with lifestyle businesses. They just get sick of this.
Yeah. Right. And, there's also had one of our assembly guys mess up a whole batch of orders. So there's a bunch of UPS overnighting fixed products, which, is expensive and not super exciting. And then going through the retraining process and getting a lot tighter quality control, and a fair amount of consulting work too, which is actually really nice to even out our cash flow because January is always one of our softest months.
That has historically been ours, and I was really surprised when I started looking at what this month is going to finish for us. I don't know if I've ever seen a January this strong for us in a decade.
Yep.
So,
well, that's good.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. 26th off to a good start.
Yeah,
I really hope this momentum maintains on our side.
Yeah, I've been just in meeting hell too, and it kind of sounds like you were as well this last week. I've just
it was
yesterday I had like 7 meetings, and it was just by the end of it, I just wanted to like collapse, and it's too much.
Yeah, that's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday where that was it, and like I had things I needed to get done. And it ended up being, last night was just a way too late a night for me personally. And it was like trying to get stuff at home then was really tough. But things just had to get done because I promised clients and we're trying to get some new projects rolling.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always how it is. There's always something. Do you want to pick up with sales and marketing from the week? I guess on the road mostly.
Yeah, I can roll into that because what we're doing for sales and marketing, it's an interesting position where typically we're onboarding new clients. Develops January, February, March. Looks like It's going to be a smattering of a lot of follow-on work. We have 4 projects that are follow-on, either with the exact same client or follow on to the exact same project, as in they want to build more equipment, stuff like that. And so it's interesting to be in that position. That's what mainly our sales is. That's what my Wednesday was. We have a project that's wrapping up here actually next week, and they're wanting to sign the contract to do a follow-on project. We've got 2 other projects that follow up this month with the same client, and they had 1 proof of concept. I'll get into that in engineering, where proof of concept was like 600 hours, so not crazy, but good amount of work. And we have to now, we split it into 2 projects because of the way that their machine needs to be built and risk mitigation, we recommended splitting it into 2. And so we're pitching 2 machines to them. And why am I blanking on what the 4th project was?
So you're in the long week boat.
Yeah. 4th one is actually the machine wow, I can't believe it. It's 1701, the project that we're packing up. So we passed FAT. They signed off on it. That thing's getting packed up here next week, set to be installed last week of January, first week of February, turned over onto them, and we're starting to talk about building another one with them. They have it laid out of what they want. We hit the performance metrics for 60 to 90 days. It's a go. So that one should be following short on the heels of this one, which is nice. So it's an interesting Q1 where it's less focused on new inbound leads and making sure to maintain relationships, which I really like that position. That's my favorite, client relations or sales.
One thing I've been getting kind of obsessed with, again, I always go through these bouts, but I've really been looking at SEO a lot. And I kind of stalk every similar-ish company's SEO. I'm just kind of curious, like, what are you guys doing? Like, is it all managed by a firm? Like, who's writing the content? Like, what's your SEO website content strategy?
Is this a leading question because he audited us?
Well, no, it's me looking at the performance and saying, okay, this is a reasonable growth pace. And to be super candid, I'm not satisfied with my own organic traffic growth.
What do you think of our growth? And then I'll answer the question.
The thing that really highlights to me, like doing just a quick SEO audit, like you have a lot of AI citations, especially relative to your traffic. And, for both of our companies.
In a good way, or is that good or bad, you're saying?
That's good. That's good.
Okay. Sorry, I've been out of the SEO game.
Yeah.
I've been very focused on other things lately because it was a huge push there a while back, and I'll get into that then.
Both of our companies have kind of disproportionately high organic traffic for the company size in the market. I think yours is a little more disproportionate. One like not failure, but things we need to do better is to get all of our keywords better. We rank for a lot of keywords that aren't necessarily what our customers are searching, right? Like we have an article or whatever that gets people onto the website, but they're not people that care about getting onto the website. And that's the other thing. Like if I go and look at develops keywords, they're all very relevant. So obviously the big thing I'm wondering is just how are you handling the content creation? How is it managed?
So we have an agency. It took me a while. I made it very clear I wanted to work with one person. I was going to train one person.
Yep.
We also had somebody internally that was writing content for us for a period of time. I think the key is you have to educate the crap out of that person. And it took a while. I now have that person trained up. They understand our market. They understand our space. He really enjoys writing for us too, I think, which is the other benefit of it. But this journey started, SEO for Develop started in mid 21. When I started writing some content, sent some stuff out to Fiverr to get optimized to a point, did some tests, then hired a journalist to bring some stuff in-house to write content around very specific areas that I wanted written. AI then happened. We started leveraging some AI tools to do that, found an agency that was better at it than us. They took over all of our SEO creation. But to your real question, the mapping of keywords, that was like a solid month of about 2 of us.
Yep.
So that was like my focus. I literally just went through and I analyzed this is probably 12 to 16 months ago, I would say. So to give you context, how long it took to play then, and just dug through competition, built out a massive Excel spreadsheet, built out the keywords that had to be the focus. So like what the top like 4, 5, 6 keywords
Right.
had to be, and then what your complementary or long tail keywords, if you get into SEO, naming or phrasing, what it technically is called, what the long tails needed to be on those pages. And then if we had space, other keywords that we wanted, and then what we wanted those to link to for other pages across our website.
Yep.
So it was, it ended up being me and actually the guy that writes our content. We both got really passionate about this. The guy at their agency that was supposed to do it dropped the ball, and we're just like, we just got this. And so we mapped that all out, but that was at least a month. I probably had 120 hours into it myself.
Yep.
It was not a small feat. And I tried educating people on that, and they weren't getting it. They were like, yeah, you need to go after the keyword automation or robot. And it's like, yeah, if we're Fanic.
Right. Yeah.
But we're not, and we're not going to get on those pages. So we got very targeted.
Yeah, you go after the very specific long tail. But yeah, I just looked at that and was curious, especially with the organic keywords. I kind of figured as much.
Yeah, it was a lot of work. And then after that, we mapped out knowledge bases, and then we started building them in chunks, kind of like what you're doing with the Tumble Blaster, Michael. I think you're going about the Tumble Blaster the exact same way. You just got to propagate that now through the rest of the website.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that we haven't done is that focus on long tail. Because like, sure, we rank like number 1 for tumble blast or sandblasting automation or whatever, but people are typing more and more, what is the best XYZ, you know, or entire questions. And those long tail keywords is, I think, where there's a huge traffic opportunity, but, you know, we haven't done any of the groundwork there.
I think the other thing is focusing not on just your website pages, but how you educate your customers. That's been a passion of mine for, you know, many years here, is educating customers. And that's how our SEO journey really started, was how we go about certain automation things. That's kind of how our YouTube videos started. How do we do automation assessments? How does develop build machines? And we just built knowledge bases around that. Or, you know, what are the different types of robots? And that's
Right.
that's still a question I get all the time from executives. Matt, people keep telling me I need a cobot. I know what a robot is. What's a cobot? And it's like, it's usually one of those where they kind of pull me to the side and they don't want anybody to hear it. And they're like, what is a cobot? I'll give the explanation so they get it. And it's like, so clearly C-suite's Googling those terms.
Yeah, I mean, like there's like long tail keywords that you guys hit that I would have never even thought to optimize for. Like, how does automation save a manufacturer money? Like, that's so specific, and the level of search volume it has to how specific it is like insane. Little things like that you guys are ranking for a lot better than we are. That's never really occurred to me.
Yeah, lots of late nights.
Yeah,
stalking the Google.
That's where I've been. It's like every night I'm, you know, Ahrefs, Google, typing stuff in, Keyword Explorer. Yeah.
It's a weird obsession. I definitely was. 24 was the bulk of focus there. 25 then was focusing on sales because I got so buried.
I hijacked your marketing and sales stuff enough. Do you have anything else you want to go over?
No, that was actually awesome because I didn't really have a whole lot of marketing. The only marketing I have is I've been holding our agency up because I've been too bombarded on sales and operations at Develop.
Yep.
Trying to hire an onboard that I gave them the green light to just start moving more forward without my approval, because I've been, like, I always have to review, or I've always reviewed everything that's gone on the website. I've read it. So like when we did those massive builds, I forget, it was like I was reading a standard couple 100-page book every couple weeks when we were doing massive releases. And it was like trying to review that much SEO is just smash your head against the block wall behind me. But I've reviewed so much lately that it was like all I changed was like a couple things that didn't matter. All I was doing was slowing stuff down. So I'm like, you guys just move forward without me. So we're going to see how this plays for the next
like
90
one
days.
thing I like with our SEO freelancer, you know, I've let go a lot as well. And one thing that I've realized is like, if the pictures are good, you know, most people are reading the pictures, like the headers, the bullet point lists. They're not reading every little detail. And the important thing is that the information is relevant. It answers a question. so hopefully has some call to action to actually buy something,
Exactly.
or book a call or whatever the goal is. And the biggest thing is that it ranks, right? That you have that SEO ranking or AI ranking or whatever it is.
Yeah. And then I think the one caveat I gave them when I gave them the green light is they have separate departments for each thing. And I'm like, there's 3 specific people that I trust on their team, like with all of our marketing. And I'm like, for this department, XYZ has to sign off on it for it to move without me. If they put their stamp of approval on it, it can go.
Yep.
Like, I'm like, I don't trust anybody behind them because I've seen some of that work.
Yeah. Sales and marketing for me has been, lots of calls. The January is always a slow month. I think I've moved like 1 or 2 turnkeys. Normally, we've done 3 or 4 by this time of the month. That's January. It is what it is. But I have been putting a lot more focus on the website in general. Like since December, we've overhauled like every collection page, and
Your website is getting like your Tumble Blast is a sexy page. Like I
Yeah.
like that. In my opinion, it's moving more to the style that I personally like.
Yep.
That's my opinion, and I think the conversions are working well. It sounds like too.
Yeah, yeah, and that was an AI generated. I asked ChatGPT and Claude to generate what they thought would be a good example. It made up a fake picture of the Tumble Blast. Obviously, we put a real one there and reworded a lot, but then copy and pasted that style. And we even made like an ROI calculator, just using Claude, and it took like an hour. Just like the stuff that you can do if you just feed it an example and make tweaks to it, it is pretty incredible.
I still need to get on Claude. I actually used your example to our marketing team because some of our pages are like terrible lead gen or like we have a lot of traffic in areas, but our conversion sucks. And I'm like, why don't we just test things? And they're like, well, we have to get internally, we have to XY approval so we don't make it worse. I'm like, what's worse than losing 2 leads?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm in the opposite boat where I feel like I don't have enough traffic. I have pages that convert really well. Although it's harder to measure because it's always going to be less reliable to track booking a demo, booking a call. As a service provider, for instance, you might not want to work with a customer, but you can almost treat that as if it were a conversion, right?
Yeah, that's fair enough. I had one come in this week that it's like, project sounds great. I searched the company. I don't think we're necessarily the best fit, so I'm a little bit slower to respond.
Yep. But yeah, kind of that obsession looking for SEO, making page tweaks again, pinging my developer constantly. I definitely need to figure out a way to get that off my plate where other people are pushing the website and web pages and content forward. And that's why I asked a lot about how you're generating the content, because it is tough in like an industrial B2B sector to not get bad content.
It was like 12 to 16 months that
Yeah.
I would say, if I go back and look at my timesheets, I bet I was booking somewhere between 20 and 35 hours a week on content.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess the other question I have is like, what do you think a reasonable content SEO investment is on a monthly basis?
On a monthly basis?
Yeah, like
it's a
just
good
like a
question.
ballpark number.
Do you want it ballpark based on your company size, like in a percentage, or do we want it based on dollar of spend?
I don't care. Like we're similar-ish enough in company size that
I'll use it for our
Yeah.
size of company. A sustainable metric for something that an owner operator can work with the agency and maintain it. I think somewhere in the $5,000 to like $8,000 range is where you should be on a monthly. I've peaked out at spending $12,000 plus per month on SEO, and that is not sustainable. That's when I was like burning out reading about all the content. We got a lot of shit through. Shit's fine. It was good content, but it was just like I was so sick of reading about develop.
Yeah. Yeah, man, the SEO is just like a never-ending battle. It's so much work. It's so expensive, and you just have to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing I've been thinking about is our ad creative. Like our ad creative on Meta is so stale. That's the nice thing about Google Ads is like they just continue performing. Whereas Meta performs better for us almost always. However,
If you get the stars to align.
no, not if you get the stars to align, if you feed it fresh content. Like if you're
Oh,
not putting out a new piece of ad creative every week, the ads get stale. It shows the same ad to the same person over and over and over, and the ROAS, the return on ad spend, just plummets.
yeah. That makes
And
sense.
that's been the challenge. Is like I'm the only person who has been making these ads. I'm sure it's like I'm leveraging AI tools or whatever, but I'm not keeping up.
Have you looked at hiring like a part-time videographer?
I have not. I think we had a job posting for something similar-ish a while ago, and I think our needs kind of changed. I don't know what the right answer is.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
that's
I was happy hiring our videographer, and how we've gone about that. I definitely would do some things differently in the future, but I think that was still a solid call a couple years ago that we did.
yep,
And it's an intern. Like it's
right.
heavy load in the summer, so make sure to adjust your calendar to answer a lot of random questions and to a high energy videographer. And then if they ideally can work during school, that's great too.
Yeah, yeah, that's good feedback. I definitely now that I say all this, like need to start getting more of this off of it needs to not always be me working on the website, and that needs to keep getting pushed forward. Right, the same way I'm not like I'm not really even doing like SolidWorks anymore. Like I'll review things here and there, but it's very rare for me to actually hit like the extrude cut button. Right.
I can't
Yeah.
anymore.
Yep. Yeah, that's the benefit of going to a Mac. Other marketing stuff. I mean, we launched the Coolant Clear beta, which still has a few slots open.
I like that product. It looks good too.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. It's definitely more expensive than I wanted it to be. Like the reception has been really good. I think, one thing that's worth noting, like, we designed it and we went back and forth with a contract manufacturer for months and months and redesigned it and went through that whole process, which was very, onerous and time intensive. I think the reality though is that if we get enough volume of them at a certain point, I think we're going to end up probably trying to bring it all in house. Because I think we can get the cogs down. Like
Makes sense.
it's just a problem for how
Aren't they
expensive
made
it
in
is.
Asia though?
Huh?
Aren't you making them in Asia?
Yeah, yeah.
That's just import costs.
Well, that's a big factor too. 50% tariffs plus shipping. The yeah, I mean, that's a big factor on. It's pretty much these and our vices that are being made overseas, and pretty much everything else we make, if not here domestically. And yeah, the tariff cost will just eat you alive.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it's the electrical industrial brush. Like, I mean, I'll be transparent about the costs. It cost us $1,200 to make the damn things.
I'm not
So
shocked. I mean, it's
yeah,
a nice looking piece.
yeah. So I'm excited about it. I do, and we'll end up filling up the beta probably a little bit later than I would have anticipated because we had a big wave right at the start of launching
Well,
it.
you closed it and then grossly increased it. So let's layer
Yeah.
that. You changed the goalpost, Michael.
That's true. Yeah, it was we went from 15 to 50 open slots.
yeah.
That's fair. But yeah, I think part of the thing I saw is like if it were closer, if it were $300 or $400 cheaper, I feel like if I could get the cogs down, then there's a lot of opportunity there. But I also have to be realistic. That's if the sales volume is there, if the market is big enough, and it's probably a project for next year, right?
You want my candid opinion?
Yeah, yeah. I want your candid
Don't
opinion.
lower the prices.
Yep.
Spend more on marketing, and make your product a higher value product. And
Yep.
don't race to the bottom because there's nobody else there. Somebody's going to come out with a cheap Chinese product. Make sure your brand stays high value on that, and there's just no questions. So don't try and cut the costs, in my opinion. Just leave it there and move on to the next product.
That's good advice, and it's kind of like it's a lesson I've learned so many times before. Is I try to make things too cheap, which has like the value perception problem of it must not be as good because XYZ, and also get like a lower tier, more difficult customer returns are more frequent for no reason. Like, And yeah, being like, we try to aim usually under, but 20 to 30% under like a premium product. And that is about where it's priced. A little over 30% under like a RotoClear. So that's definitely, yeah, I should.
If you don't hear 20% of your pitches or from 20% of the people that your price is too high, you're not
Yeah,
high enough.
that's true. Yeah.
Like, I think that's a metric I watch, is if I'm not hearing, or if we're not losing at least 20% of our jobs because of price, we're not high enough and we're not adding the value and the experience to our customers that we want, because develop stands for basically experience from when a project starts to when it's delivered. And so I never want to be able to cut corners. Same thing. I don't want to see you cut corners on how that product runs.
I think the answer is like a little bit of both. I think you're right. Like, unless the market shifts on these entirely, I shouldn't move the price down, because, it's priced for the value. But I do think if the volume is there long term and I can get the COGS down, then that's a totally different question, right? But it probably shouldn't be paired with bringing the actual MSRP of the product down.
Yeah, I think somebody will come to the market with a cheaper product. And
Yeah.
when that happens, I still wouldn't lower my price.
Yeah.
But
It
that's me.
depends. Yeah. I mean, it definitely depends, because I definitely care about market share ranking. I want to always have an attractive option that shows up on Google Shopping with people who have the like real buyer's intent, where the product is clearly like industrial, excellent, but usually I'm not trying to be, the Shunk or the DMG Mori, building
Yeah.
the fanciest thing.
I think that's fair if you're looking at it that way. Just don't try and compete with a Chinese product
Oh, of course.
when they knock you off.
Yeah, that's one thing that's tough too. Is with all of these things, you think you have an exclusive design, and then all of a sudden you see something similar pop up on the market. We've seen that
yeah.
with our other Chinese product. So that's always a challenge.
For sure.
But any other marketing stuff you want to talk about?
That's it for me. I'm pretty lean on marketing this week. I don't even think I didn't have an internal marketing meeting this week. We had too many others.
Oh yeah, I just feel like overwhelmed. I feel like everywhere we could be doing things better, but that's
Pick your
just
battles.
yeah. And I got to appreciate like how much better things are from like right now, even 6 months ago. Like, there's all these places that those incremental improvements have like really stacked up, and then I'm on that hedonic treadmill of just like XYZ could be better, and
For sure.
yeah.
On to I guess you kind of rolled into product development engineering there, didn't you? I guess I could kind of go. We do postmortems every time we complete a stage with a customer. So we did our internal postmortem on 1701. It was really fun to go through that with the team. It ended up being like a 3-hour meeting to go through basically anything that we cover. The wins, that usually is pretty short. Our team's, like you said, not good at celebrating things. Kind of same thing. We're always looking at how do we get better, which is a really good culture, and also sometimes bad at the same point, because
Yep.
you can lose focus of how far you have gone. Something that's become very evident to me as I've done more of these with the team is when you have a bunch of projects running in parallel and you have systems changing because of things you're learning. So 1701 was running through the shop. We saw things that didn't work or things that did work. We changed statements of work. We changed processes. But then the people that are on 1701 are the team members that are like ingrained to that, and they just have to execute to that old SOP because there's no changing anymore. We get to this postmortem and we start going through it, and there's this point of we can't do this, and it's like, now you're having to educate. It's almost an education point too, where we're walking them through like, these are actually SOPs we changed because we saw those pains and what we're doing. What are your thoughts on this? And so it's an interesting to get more detail on the changes of what we've been doing, if that makes any sense, because
Yep.
they're in this like anxiety point, like we can't do this again. We can't do it this way again. It doesn't, like, it can't be this way. And then it's like, this is how we're looking at it. And it's like, there's this ease, but yet this same point of like disbelief, because like, how can these be done? Because I was just living this.
Yep.
I don't know how else to explain it, but I've seen this now happen multiple times on projects. And
I'm with you on the SOP thing. So like, we had this with our tumble blast assembly. A lot of it came from like the orders tripling, we had an Instagram video that went viral. We talked to the guy and he's like, yeah, sure, use it as an ad. And, we started advertising the same thing. And, I think on average, we probably sell like one a day now.
That's cool.
Now that it's flattened and the viral's gone, but we were selling like 3-4 tumble blasts a day.
Wow.
And when that jumped from, previous to any of this being an average of like a third or half a day, right? A couple of 2 or 3 a week, to 3 a day, like a lot of the systems broke. A lot of the stuff was just on tumble blasts. There were some like SOP alterations that were excellent and some ones that actually caused problems, that, I wasn't aware of or documented. It's a small percentage of orders, but it's given how many more orders there were, and the percentage still being higher than normal of rejects or errors that made it to customers. I've been really trying to tighten down those SOPs, and we've been adding checklists and multiple inspections on everything.
It's always frustrating is the wrong way to put it, but like, I know when I go through these postmortems or you look at that and you're like, we're just layering in more friction. We're just making all these SOPs is making the product cost more. Are we adding value?
Yep.
Like there's a point where it's like, I want to start ripping out some SOPs and see if the systems break again. Mm-hmm. Like I'm kind of there. I don't think we've bloated our systems yet, but I get that feeling when I'm in some of these meetings. Like, do we need to do this?
To me, it all depends on like the job description and skill level and like the type of people you're employing. Like the reality is I can't spend $40 an hour for an assembly person, right? And like, LA is a very competitive place where people can make $25 an hour at a fast food joint, right? So, because of that, we have definitely talented staff, but definitely, the lower paid jobs, as you would expect, don't have the same level of autonomy. And like, I think you guys have less of that because I don't think there's ever make 4 of these identical sub-assemblies, every day for a week.
No, occasionally on prototype product development.
Right.
That's it. And that's even become, that's such a small segment now of our business. Yeah, I was just trying to go through some of the SOPs and things we changed. We're going to be relaying out our entire floor. If we wanted to start, I guess we can save that for...
Relaying, what does that mean? Like relaying out.
So we built...
Like relays.
Oh, yeah. Well, that too, kind of. Those will move. We had... So the way the shop got laid out, inventory kind of went to the middle, which is our longest straight stretch in the building for building machines.
Yep.
26, we need this giant section for building some very long machines. So we're going to be moving inventory where 1701 was currently built, kind of going under. We have a mezzanine area that's not overly optimized, relaying out our EE space. And then small builds will go where 1701 was. And then the giant section where we can back a semi in and load big machines on will be our big building cell. So we got to lay that out. That'll be happening here once the machine ships here at the end of the month. So I'm excited for that, but more lever rack, stuff like that, because we got to get our storage to be denser because we are running out of space. Our tenant, their lease ends in about 1.5 years, and I want to gut that place and use that for building more machines then. And then once we've occupied that, I want to add onto the building. I don't want to add onto the building then occupy it because I think we can optimize cash flow better if we do it the other way.
Yep. Yeah, it's kind of tangential to engineering, but I have a similar situation with space. We have 2 shops that are like a 2 or 3 minute walk between each other in the same business park. And, we have the one bigger shop and the one smaller shop. And, we're getting rid of our gantry mill. It's all lined up and hopefully will be sold pretty soon. And we have enough space for our water jet technically, but everything becomes really dense. It becomes too tight. So we're in this like weird in between where first off, having the 2 units disconnected is really inconvenient. We looked at potentially moving all of the stuff into our neighbor's warehouse, but of course, moving a 20,000 pound water jet electrical calibration, it's expensive.
Oh yeah,
and the other element here is that our landlord, our lease ends on the smaller unit in February, and they want to take that unit back and want us to move back next door. But when we did the math, actually at the end of last year, we concluded, hey, we don't want to spend $40,000 to $50,000 on the move, so we're just going to keep both locations. So now I got to track that down and see what's going to happen, whether we can extend our current lease or we might be kind of have our hands forced to move that to another building.
I wish real estate was a more applicable play, but we've had this conversation and I don't think we need to rehash it. I'm just a firm believer in having control of real estate.
Yeah. It's definitely not easy to do in California, for sure.
Yeah, you have a different challenge, definitely.
Yeah. Any other engineering stuff from you from after I hijacked the conversation?
No, that was fine. Actually, let's go back to the building idea. You're in this group. Could you get them to pool cash together to help you get into a better building?
I don't know. Honestly, the first thing I need to do is stop whining about it, call my landlord, explain where we are, and see how badly they want to move into the unit that we're currently in. The guy who's our neighbor is actually consolidating 2 units into one, so he has another unit and he's moving out of this one.
Oh, okay.
So there's a lot of moving parts, and I should just make a couple phone calls and try to hone in on something a little.
When do you have to have a decision by?
The thing I'm pretty sure the way our lease is written, like we can go month to month at a higher rate, but obviously I don't want to do that. So end of February is when something needs to happen, right?
Yeah, there's your accountability thing for Section 5 for the week.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm going to call this now.
Yeah. It's one of those things.
It's a couple weeks away, Michael.
Yeah, there's just so many like not fun admin things I've been thinking about right now. Like, for one of our consulting clients, like these, reconciling hundreds of hours of work, and all the account logs and all the receipts that the staff didn't put into the sheet properly. Like, that combined with, Ahrefs, I've just been looking at a lot of tables and spreadsheets, and I'm kind of going crazy.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah.
I'm hiring for executive assistant finance forward. I can't wait to get out of some of the projections in finance, but need to find the right person, that's a tough one to hire.
Honestly, every great person is a tough one to hire, and it always takes longer, and it's always more expensive to find the right person, but it's always worth it.
I should rephrase. The reason I'm struggling with it is I've never had to hire for this role, so I haven't failed yet to know what works and doesn't. So that's what's making me a little because I know how impactful it's going to be to the business, and it's like, I think I just need to rip the Band-Aid. I have a couple really good candidates here. I feel like I'm making excuses to I think we can find something better.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Sounds like you know what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, there's still just some hesitancy and I'm struggling, but I had one good interview today and they left with some homework. I think she was just grossly nervous in the interview.
Yep.
She just froze up. And when I was doing one of the I tried doing a test or laying out some of the forecasting that I wanted to do, and it kind of got to the point where it's why don't you just take this home with you? I'll pay you to do it for your time. She's you're not paying me for this. I will send you an email. I'm all right, just let's consider that as part of your interview. You send that to me. Let's move forward, because she was just locking up. It's I get it, but she might also be the best finance person out there. She just doesn't pressure.
That's the thing too that I found is some of the people who interview the worst perform the best on an actual practical test.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Yep.
I don't know. Random side. No.
Engineering stuff. For us, there's honestly not a ton. Little tweaks to the coolant clear here and there. Trying to polish the electrical a little bit on it. Working on a nicer looking branded enclosure, but I mean, I guess our website. We've been overhauling our 3D viewer because the load times were just too long. So now they're essentially instantaneous, but we had to build the whole tool and integration to make that work. But I mean, these are all kind of like, slow rolling projects, getting all the, 3D CAD viewers done one by one for 300 SKUs. Yeah, bit by bit.
Okay. Our engineering 1701's getting packed up. I'm thrilled. We're packaging up a slide deck for a customer that's got a high SKU or a high mix application of automation, but all the products are very similar. So we did like I said, 600 hours earlier in the podcast, laying that cell out, split it into 2 machines. I have yet to see what the total estimated hours are for building both these, but I'm anticipating somewhere between like 6,000 and 8,000 hours to build the physical machines. So they've got it's like a 30-page slide deck showing robotic videos, testing with feeders, showing their multiple SKUs, their HMI of how they'd interact with it.
Yep.
As basically a really detailed statement of work of how we're going to get them to the finish line. And then the proposals are going with it as well of what the costs and the key metrics we got to hit. I get to pitch that, I guess, in a couple weeks, I found out. So we shall see how that goes.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that, though. I'm not probably not sounding that way, but I'm jacked.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're both like just a little tired from the week and a little more tired than usual.
Yeah, and I'm looking at I have to work tomorrow just to try and get more stuff done.
Yeah. So what's the next section? I'm blanking here.
Continuous improvements. That was kind of at least that was the end. I don't have anything else engineering there. So,
do you want us to kick us off with CIs?
I have one. The forgiveness table that I talked about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really liking it. I wasn't.
Wait, what's the forgiveness table? You got to remind me.
Okay, so in the 2026 kickoff, there's a couple themes. Basically, how does the team move together faster? So maintaining team culture, because at our current pace of growth, it could be very easy to split departments. And then I also want more autonomy on the team, making more decisions without me. So we started what's classified as a forgiveness log. If you get behind the decision, I want team members making the call, and then you get to explain it at the end of the week of what you did and why you did it.
Yep.
Started off pretty like mild, I'll say. Like one team member put a joke in there, bought a McLaren so I get to work faster. But it's like that was a great way to kick it off to like lighten up what we're trying to do. And then it was like little things like bought a wiring cart so I could build out do some stuff faster. I could just go right down the list.
Yeah.
It was a couple $100. Like, why did we wait on some of these things? Bought some motors for testing because they wanted to evaluate different motor suppliers because of pains they've had with other motors. But it's like things they clearly were just hesitating. Like the metric on it, if you hesitate to buy it or you think you need approval, it goes on the forgiveness log and just move it forward. The one that I really liked is we bought a large format printer. We've talked about this multiple times over the last year and a half, and it was one of those that for some reason we just never bought, and one of the team members just went out and bought it. He's like, we've talked about this, we need it. And I'm like, all right, this is perfect.
Yeah. Well, okay, was it a $1,000 thing or was it a $10,000 thing?
It was a couple $1,000s.
Okay, yeah.
But it's like they had clear justification of it. It's, I mean, this is what it came from. Need initially spurred from marketing because of some of the videos we were doing, and they wanted printouts or blueprints of the machine.
Yep.
But the pains that we have had over the years is overlaying large Gants and not having visibility of them all in parallel easily. And then large documents for when we go to build machines, such as schematics for pneumatics and electrical, rather than being 40 pages, so they can be 10.
Mm-hmm.
So those was their justification. They're like, it's $1,000. It's like, we've probably ROI'd that thing already in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't we buy it a year ago?
Those are the ones that are hard though. Like, like we bought a new press brake and a laser and the things that should have hypothetically ROI'd really quickly turned out to be the things that didn't, right? For whatever reason, the product didn't work the way you thought it would work, or just had problems with workflow, our Langmeyer press brake just, candidly, the back gauge just does not work. And that's very frustrating on a $10,000 tool. But, and then you'll have random little things that, swapping to a different Loctite or, a new like Knipex plier that ROIs like as much as a tool like that on a cash basis and you know a huge dollar value on a percentage basis.
Yeah, and so that's we make them track their hours in there too.
Yep.
So their hours are dollars, the costs are dollars. Like I just saw one hit the board here. They created some documentation for some reviews on a specific process, and it took just shy of an hour. It's like these are things that we had done the 2x2s a year ago. These things were kind of happening, but we weren't giving the visibility of like a lot of these improvements that were happening on micro scale. So I'm seeing it now on giving them a bigger bandwidth, which is cool.
Yep. Makes sense.
That's so something we also changed on our CIs that I don't know if I covered it last time we went through the kickoff was they have a budget this year. It came out to, I guess I probably won't share the budget on the podcast, but I said, I don't care how it gets spent. The key is that we optimize our dollars. So the cost per hour of a team member is $120 an hour. If you think you can contract it out and get it done faster, I don't care. Every hour you log towards these gets counted at $120 an hour. Every dollar you spend gets counted $1 to $1.
Yep.
And then spend the budget as you see fit. So I'm curious to see how that plays this year.
Yeah. Sounds like a good strategy.
I just want the team to understand the cost of human time. That's our biggest cost in our business. It's not materials on a project. It's human time.
Yep. Do you mind, like, I don't need numbers or anything, but what kind of system are you using to track this? Are they clocking in and out of a system? Like, how are you doing time tracking? How are you doing, are you in Airtable or Google Sheets? Like,
that's a great question. So we've really leaned into one plan. Is the software we're using. We get tasked. We track to the task. People get allocated basically to 80+% down to our item tasks. It's turned into a decent project management challenge, but it's also been built out over years of building multiple machines and understanding how the tasks need to play is really how we've gotten there. And then the continuous improvements and stuff like that. We have general buckets or develop buckets that we can do. There's caveats if it's one of the larger continuous improvements, say like a $20,000 CI or R&D initiative, we'll create a separate project for that and then put tasks under there. And then we'll track all time to that. And then we'll do the same thing in project accounting and QuickBooks.
Got it. So you're really liking one plan. I know that was a big question when you guys were moving from project management systems.
I'm going to say the jury's still out.
Okay.
We still don't have the reports I want. I'll give you an example. We did the 1701 postmortem yesterday. We had to have one engineer spend 9.5 hours is what the tally came into to sift through all the timesheets and data and give us all our pie charts and filters that we wanted to see to answer the questions in the meeting. Those are all things that I think should be native within our one plan. And that's one of the initiatives one of our team members has in Q1, that we have to have this visibility and we can't wait 1 to 2 days to get the data we need, because a lot of these decisions need to be made based on data in this business. And so that's changing, and that's why I'm saying the jury's still out.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. Are you going to look for other tools, or are you just going to wait and see how the one plan project management plays out?
I think it's not going to be necessarily looking for tools yet. It's going to be, we actually discussed how we're looking at it as a parallel path risk mitigation. If we don't see momentum, because some of these tools have to be custom built by one plan for us based on the visibility we want. If we don't see enough forward progress by X date, we're going to put one of our software engineers on it to run a parallel solution. I don't want to do that, but if we have to, it's going to be far cheaper than not having the visibility.
Yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, like our Gantt chart system, we're kind of now in the mode where we've got like our Notion which has the Gantt chart, and our Clockify for clocking in and out of repetitive tasks at least. But I want to get to that point of like the 80% number of everybody's hours are planned and tracked, at least up to that level.
Yeah, I'm anticipating we're going to have middle of this coming year, 6 to 8 large projects running in parallel, somewhere ranging from 2,000 to like 8,000 engineering hours.
Yep.
utilizing all disciplines in the company. So not having proper visibility is going to cripple us.
Yep. Yeah. That makes me think a lot because that's been one of my recurring pains of just how we're doing Gantt chart planning, project management, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's where, like I said, I contradict our original thought of operations, but we also might have been right based on what I'm seeing for cash flow going into next year too, or revenue going into next year. We still might have been right. I think it's just the timing. You need to do it before you hit those milestones.
Yep.
And so thankfully we pulled the trigger early. So then when we need it, it's in place.
Yeah. I mean, CIs for us, I think it's mostly been, SOPs, quality control, a little bit of shop cleanup, nothing crazy. No, CIs like throughout our website, but I guess I kind of discussed that in marketing and engineering already.
All right.
Cool. Do you want to do a personal item or an accountability thing?
That's a good question. I have to work Saturday. I don't have a whole lot of personal stuff going on right now. Other than the little guy, he said his first word last night. So yeah, I do have something.
Awesome.
Yeah, he said "mama" last night, which was cool. So that was like out of blue. We've been trying to get him to talk, and then and then it was like once he says it like twice, and you praise him for it, it's like holy crap! Who turned on this thing on repeat the rest of the night? So that was a good personal note, but I don't know. Did anything stand out to you for challenges that you think I should be looking at next week?
I don't know. Honestly, I think we're both like a little low energy and not at our sharpest. So I think we'll have a lot better clarity. I think mine was pretty easy of like, hey, pick up the phone, call your landlord and figure this thing out because that timeline's coming up. But yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, thankfully my next week doesn't look as insane.
Yeah.
I have a cool thing I'll wait till next week to talk about that's in the engineering side that we're potentially going to add to the toolkit and some of our SOPs because of client need.
Yep.
But I got to get
sense.
Got to get that closed next week, and then I can announce the new service.
Cool. Do you want to wrap the podcast there?
I'm good with it. I think we're both burned.
Yeah. If you like the podcast, share it with someone you know. Give us 5 stars wherever you're listening. Thanks. Thank you so much for listening to Matt and I's conversation this week on the Manufacturing Automation Podcast. If you like the podcast, please share it with a friend or give us a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. We'll be back next week to continue sharing our respective journeys in life, business, and industrial automation. Thanks so much.